Hello. Yeah, my name is Austin, and I'm a tree hugger. Rich asked me to speak today to share the green things I do in my life and some of my thoughts on it. There will be a PowerPoint coming soon. I'll wait for that real quick. There it is. And you could go to the next slide now. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to do the following 4 things. I'm going to tell you what I do. I'm going to give you one activity to connect with nature, share my insight on living greenly, and share my vision for our society. Next slide. Perfect. So what I do, I do a couple things, but these are 4 big things. I do habitat restoration every Monday for 1 to 2 hours at a creek near my house. This is what Rich, I talked to him about this. I go to Green Lake and I do like a stand-in, and I just hold this sign and stare at people and make awkward eye contact, and I get, it's a mix. Some people talk to me, and some people give me thumbs up, and then some people walk by, which is understandable. I generate nearly 0 waste. I can hold my week's trash in one hand, and I hang dry my clothes for 8 months of the year. Next slide, please. So I know I spend a fair amount of time and effort on environmental endeavors, but I never question it. And the reason is this: if you can develop a genuine spiritual connection with nature, living greenly will be effortless. Or rather, the time and effort will feel worth it, like investing into a relationship you believe in, which is exactly what it is for me. In my eyes, I'm investing into my relationship with God, because for me, I believe God is nature, nature is God. They're synonymous. I use nature with atheist friends that are strange around the word God. They're the same for me. But what if you've just never had much of a connection with the earth yourself? And that's fine. Plants and bugs and dirt. I mean, Rich talked about when you grew up, you just, bugs, I don't want bugs. Well, you can try this. I call this activity stop and stare, and it's very simple. You closely study something natural like a flower or tree and try to dig it. Just try to appreciate it. Engage all of your senses. What does it feel like? Is it leathery? Is it fuzzy? Get your eyes inches away from it and notice the extensive detail you don't see walking or driving by it. Does it smell? I mean, what this is literally stopping to smell the roses. I did this in my backyard for some direction while writing this section. I wanted to finish the speech. It had taken me a while and get on with my weekend, but I ended up spending a half hour just fascinated with everything in my backyard. If you could change the next slide. So I took pictures for you all of some things that amazed me. This is, I said, the beauty of maple leaves in the act of unfurling. They were unfurled an hour later. Next, please. This is the gills of a mushroom that the finest woodworker would envy. Next. A microscopic spider. You probably can't even see it, but this spider whose entire world was a furled tulip leaf. I saw the tiny bit of water, and I go, I bet there's life in there, and I curled it over, and there is this tiny little spider. Next, please. The staggering detail of a leaf's skeleton. Next. And then the simple brilliance of a daffodil's layering. And doing this, yeah, you could, oh well, that's fine. and doing this with the addition of a plant ID app and Google can lead down endless roads of amazement for me. 2 fascinating things I learned about the weeds growing in my yard last summer. Creeping wood sorrel, this weed, has exploding seed pods and tangy leaves full of vitamin C. And petty spurge has a latex that will burn your skin, but that substance is being pioneered medicinally to kill skin cancer. All of this is in my backyard, which is about 3 by 3.5 arm spans. So there's a lot there if you just kind of look. And I even discard it. Sometimes I say, oh, this is such a small yard, but there really is a lot when you go out. So let's say you do develop a spiritual connection with nature, or just in general decide you want to start living a greener life. Here are some of my personal insights. The first step is the hardest, both mentally and logistically. With my Green Lake deal, I mean, what should my sign say? That took me forever. Am I bringing enough water? Will there be a bathroom? I was doing this in the winter. I didn't know if they closed them. And then mentally, is what I'm doing dumb? Am I stupid? Why don't others do this? But taking that first step will answer a lot of those questions and guide your second step. Yes, I was bringing enough water. Yes, there was a bathroom open. And then there are things you don't think of beforehand. My arms almost fell off from holding this sign for 2 hours the first time, so I fashioned a neck strap. So you learn something and gain confidence with each step. And after a few more steps, you're walking, where it feels more natural to keep putting one foot in front of the other than to stop. And when this starts to happen, almost immediately, it feels good, which is my second insight. Living greenly feels good. Not good like binge watching TV or eating ice cream, but spiritually fulfilling at a deep level, knowing that your lifestyle is in alignment with nature, which again for me is alignment with God. I don't just have God on my back with this stuff. When I'm digging in the dirt or planting a tree, God's in my hands. Yeah, it's funny. Everyone thinks my life sucks because I don't allow myself to buy anything in plastic. But it couldn't be further from the truth. My kitchen, for example, is another place where I regularly connect with God and nature. Everything in my kitchen came right out of the earth, and nothing ever went through a factory, and I just love that. My third insight, living sustainable should be sustainable for you. Living sustainably should be sustainable for you. I said the first step is the hardest, so make that first step small. And if you do end up getting more involved, give your 100%, but be at peace with how far your 100% goes, or not far. As long as you're giving it your all, I believe you've succeeded, and the rest is in God's hands. You don't want to burn out from bearing the weight of the entire environmental crisis on your shoulders, or start to neglect other parts of your life, of your own life. And I've dealt with both those things before, biting off more than I can chew and burning out and stopping, which is counterproductive. In college, early college, when I first went several years ago, I took on all of life's issues. It didn't work. And finally, to the next slide, please. My vision. This is nothing new or profound. I dream of a world where people don't even consider things like living greenly. Rather, people would just live as if there were no other way, but it would be in a way that would be symbiotic with our earth. We need a cultural shift, and it's happening. It's been happening, and we just need to keep taking steps forward. Each generation is going further than the last with legislation, technology, and a growing consensus that the environment matters. I'll say awareness and normalization are extremely important. For example of awareness, I was unable to conceive of even using a clothesline to dry my clothes before moving in with someone that religiously did so. And that discovery blew my mind. I needed that awareness. I was ignorant, even while being into this stuff, I was completely ignorant of such a simple energy-saving solution. And an example of normalization, I hang dry my clothes for the majority of the year, and I have about 40 students, young and old, that come to my house weekly. I'm a music teacher. They don't need to be wowed by my clothesline, but I do believe I'm planting a seed. I think about my young students and how, unlike myself, they'll be aware of clotheslines and think they're normal, having spent years of their youth looking at my socks and underwear swaying in the wind as they're trying to play guitar. And of course, there are precedents of cultural shifts in our nation, and I mean around the world. Slavery is now inconceivable. Same-sex marriage is now federally protected and supported by 71% of Americans, up from 27% in 1996, which is mind-blowing. I learned that yesterday. And something like cigarette smoking, which once we found out it was bad, the number dropped from 43% of Americans in 1965 to just 12% now. And that's all I've got for you. Thank you for listening to this, and happy Earth Day, and thank you.